The Hero Association is spiraling, and Saitama is about to make it much worse. In the most recent chapter of One Punch Man, we see that a new rival to the Hero Association is currently being formed. This was discovered after several scouts were sent to convince two different S-Class candidates to join the Hero Association in order to boost morale and strengthen their numbers. The people that they were out to scout themselves gives a very big indication as to how desperate the Hero Association really is right now. One is a sumo wrestler that's been approached many times by the Hero Association to join and have been rejected every single time, but continue to look for him. And probably even more embarrassing than that, the second hero that they approached to join the S-Class is someone named Axel, who is the leader of a group called Hunters that are pretty much an assortment of B and C class type heroes that operate as a vigilante group. The fact that he would even get offered an S-Class spot is probably the most desperate thing that the Hero Association did in that chapter, because by his own account, Axel and his over 50 members of the Hunters barely took out a demon level monster, and they even lost 5 people in that battle, like almost 10% of their numbers from one battle against a demon level monster. This means that Axel himself can probably only handle a tiger and nothing more at this point. Well, at the end of the chapter, Axel points out that there's actually a new Hero Association forming, and many of this current Hero Association sponsors and even current members will be switching over soon. So this is heavily foreshadowing that we're going to be seeing some main characters to the Hero Association, some major players, actually switch over to this new organization. Many of you that have read the webcomic already kind of already know where this is going, but we have to remember that the manga and the webcomic continuities has been drifting further and further apart from each other with each manga chapter release. Lately it's been pretty one for one, but considering everything that happened between Saitama and Garo and their huge fight and how that all played out, and many of the major fights in the Monster Association, we can't just assume anymore that everything is going to go exactly as the webcomic did. After all, this new arc that's beginning was started by 1 year ago, so it would make sense that his writing style has changed a little bit, his perspective on the story has changed a little bit, so it would make a ton of sense that he does make some major changes in this upcoming arc in order to make it fresh and new and reflect more of what he thinks is the best story to tell for One Punch Man. And one of the major changes that I think is going to happen here is the exit of specific heroes from the Hero Association that did not occur in the webcomic. Specifically, I'm very interested in how Saitama is going to tie into all of this, because we also saw at the end of the previous chapter that Genos was having some heavy doubts about the Hero Association, and we kind of leave off on a cliffhanger as to whether or not he's already been convinced by this new organization to join them and leave the Hero Association. Genos pretty much goes everywhere that Saitama goes, and Saitama more than likely would be pretty easily persuaded to join a different organization if those benefits are presented to him by Genos. I mean, you gotta think about Saitama's situation right now. He's been struggling to climb the ranks of the Hero Association, even though he's performed some of the most insane feats we have ever seen in the series, defeated almost every major monster or opponent that they have faced, and is still getting zero credit for it. And on top of that, he isn't getting paid much and is hardly respected as a hero at all, seeing as how they made his name Caped Baldy. So I mean, other than the apartment that he's currently living in right now, he has absolutely no reason to stick around with the Hero Association if there's a better situation presented to him. Now I'm gonna go into some pretty light webcomic spoilers here, nothing very crucial to the main story or the main arc that's currently going on, but nonetheless they are technically spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, then just jump to this timestamp that you see on the screen right now and you'll be good. So if you guys have read the webcomic, you know that Saitama has in fact not joined the Neo Heroes, and neither did Genos. It was pretty much just as simple as Saitama saying like, nah, I'm not gonna join them, and Genos is like, alright, I won't either, and then they kind of move on. Well, what does end up happening is that Saitama does end up actually joining another organization, but it's not the Neo Heroes, it's actually the Hero Named Victims Association, where Saitama teams up with other really poorly named heroes in order to kind of raise awareness about this issue underlying in the Hero Association, among others, where lower ranked heroes are kind of being like discriminated against in a way and given really bad names just based on their appearance or like the worst aspects of them, and they start putting on like protests and stuff like that in order to get the Hero Association's attention, and it just kind of adds into the whole like shit show that is the Hero Hero Association at this point, where they can't even like keep control of their own people, aside from losing others to another organization. I'm sure this aspect of the webcomic is going to be carried over into the manga because it's like one of the funnier aspects of like this next major arc, but I do think it's going to be altered slightly to Saitama actually kind of fully committing to this new organization and in a way leaving the Hero Association along with other heroes. There is like a small possibility that before Genos kind of comes up to Saitama about this whole Neo Heroes thing and asks him to join, Saitama might get approached by the Hero Victims Name Association much earlier than he does in the webcomic and kind of teams up with them. So once Genos actually approaches him about the Neo Heroes, Saitama says, yeah, I already left the Hero Association. And Genos actually ends up leaving the Hero Association as well, assuming that Saitama was talking about the Neo Heroes that he joined, when really it was this new weird organization that revolves around getting new hero names. I think it would be pretty funny, and I think it's something that one would definitely like write into the story to kind of spice things up a little bit by having Genos actually join the Neo Heroes in contrast to the webcomic. Another interesting dynamic in the manga that people aren't really talking about when it comes to this next arc that's coming up is Tatsumaki's relationship with Saitama in the manga versus in the webcomic. I'm just talking like a friend relationship. I'm not talking about shipping and stuff like that. So you guys can calm down, all right? But in the manga, Tatsumaki is a lot more like friendly and kind of receptive to Saitama and looking at things in a different way in general than she was in the webcomic. In the webcomic, she's a lot more like cold and callous and still kind of a brat in a way. So I think this change in the manga might make it very interesting when it comes to the moment where she does find out about this new Hero Association, and if she somehow catches wind that like Saitama has left the Hero Association to team up with other people, it's going to be very interesting to see what she has to say about that and what that kind of does to influence her in her view of her current position in the S-Class. We might get a major twist here where Tatsumaki is the one to leave, and this would be like the most devastating blow that the Hero Association could possibly take, because their number 2 hero, the one that's honestly the most active in terms of taking care of major monsters and has kind of become the face of the Hero Association at this point, that would definitely be a devastating blow. Who knows, maybe even Garo ends up entering the story again as a candidate that joins this new organization of heroes. It would make a ton of sense because we gotta remember that Garo does have a heavy distaste for the Hero Association because he sees them as a group of people that are just looking for fame and admiration and don't actually care about protecting the public. Sure, maybe Saitama might have changed his mind a little bit at the end of their fight, but at the end of the day, he still probably has this disdain for the Hero Association. So if he catches wind that Saitama leaves and joins them, he might take it as like, alright, well this is like probably the first actual hero I've ever met, and if he's leaving the heroes to join this new group, maybe I should join too because they might have something that I'm looking for here that I couldn't find with the Hero Association. I say all of this to kind of point out that just because, you know, you read the webcomic and you know what's happening 50, 60 chapters ahead of everybody else that's only reading the manga, that doesn't mean that the story is going to go one for one like the webcomic did. There's definitely a ton of room for change here, and I feel like One and Murata have definitely set up various little differences to the webcomic in order to kind of implement these changes in this next major arc and have it all make sense. Really, it's yet to be seen exactly how many major changes are going to come in this next major arc of the manga, if any at all. But one thing is for sure, that Saitama is definitely the domino that is going to make the others fall if he ends up actually leaving the heroes.